Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning to all participants of this conference. First and foremost, let me introduce myself. My name is Dr. Mazrah Malek, and I am from the Tengku Intan Puteri Safina School of Accountancy, Universiti Utara, Malaysia. And together with me is my team, which is Ms. Saidah Malik from University Technology Mara Campus Arab. I also have Dr. Saidatun Nur Fauzi Saidin from Universiti Putra Malaysia, and also Dr. Liana Ahmad Afib from Universiti Malaysia, Kelantan. All right, so our project is basically entitled The Impact of English Proficiency on Academic Performance Among Business Students in Malaysian Public Universities. So before I proceed with my presentation, let me first brief you about this project. This is a preliminary project. It's still in the early stage of our study. We gathered information during the previous year of 2020-21. And we hope to get a lot of feedback from all of you in order for us to be able to improvise this project and make it much better. All right. So this is the outline of my presentation for today. We will start with an introduction of this topic, the literature review. We are also going to be talking about the research method that has been applied, the data analysis, the findings of our project, and last but not least will be the conclusion and the limitation of the study. All right, looking into the introduction, I think everybody knows this is common, which is the main issue nowadays would be with the increase in the demand of our local graduates, okay, for our local graduates' employability in the workforce. There are many prospective employers raising their concerns on the inability of our local graduates to communicate and comprehend the level of English proficiency in their day-to-day activities. And this has been shown in a survey that was conducted by the Malaysia Employers Federation, MEF, in 2016, where they discovered that over 90% of their respondents indicated that graduates need to improve on their English proficiency. Another survey that was conducted by the EF English Proficiency Index among the 100 country EPI ranking for the year 2020, they discovered that Malaysia was ranked as 30th, indicating moderate proficiency, behind other Asian countries such as the Philippines, which was ranked as 27th, considered as high proficiency, and Singapore, which was ranked as 10th, very high proficiency, therefore signifying that Malaysians' ability to master the command of English language is still considered to be very low. So Malaysia has long recognized the importance of English, and the country has placed various strategies. Our government has placed various strategies in the Malaysian education system in order for them to improve the standard of its citizens' English language capability. For example, in the year 2000, the Malaysian Ministry of Education had introduced the MUET, which is the Malaysian University English Test, with the objective of consolidating and enhancing the English language ability of our pre-university students, so that when they go for the tertiary level, these students would be able to communicate with ease in the language of English. So the candidates for this MUET will be tested on 4 papers, which is listening, speaking, reading, and writing. And the test will later classify these candidates according to 6 bands, which is representing the level of achievements from highly proficient users, recognized as band 6, to very limited users as band 1. So this is mainly because English has been the language of most local university textbooks and the language of instruction in many local universities in Malaysia, especially when we are talking about business courses. So the main objective of this paper would be to investigate whether a student's English language proficiency will have an impact on their overall academic performance in a university setting, in particular for students enrolled in business courses. So moving forward, let's first look into the literature review for this topic. So various studies have already been done talking about relating the proficiency in English language to academic performance and whatsoever. All right, so among the several factors identified relating to academic performance, for example, can be categorized under 4 categories, which is academic, psychosocial, cognitive, and demographic. Among the academic factors that has been identified from previous research were among others are relating to prior academic achievements, learning skills and habits, learning strategies and approaches were all explored as variables influencing academic performance. From the psychosocial dimension, on the other hand, social integration into the university system, motivation, anxiety, social and emotional support, and psychological health were also identified. From the cognitive dimension, which includes, among others, self-efficacy and individuals' attribution style, were also studied in many empirical studies. Various demographic features, such as gender and age, were also examined in relation to academic performance in higher education. Meanwhile, previous studies relating to English proficiency have identified among the factors that contribute to low English speaking among students, and one of the primary elements of the students' English language speaking issues found were, among others, the management in teaching and learning English, which includes the administration of classroom exercises, course syllabus, poor quality educators, and improper selection of teaching materials. Meanwhile, from psychological factors, they also found that to contribute to the low proficiency in English are, among others, students such as students' hesitance in committing errors, and one of the major discoveries was peer discouragement. A Malaysian study by Rusli et al. 2018 had confirmed that students' lack of proficiency in speaking are also due to their psychological factors, inefficient of management's role, and also the influence of the teachers and also the peers' motivation on theirs. English proficiency and academic performance, these are among the studies. Many research has been conducted in other countries, mainly in the West, on this particular topic. Right, so you can see here, among those studies related to this topic on English proficiency and academic performance. Okay, for example, Hill, Storch, and Lynch, 1999, Wong, 2001, to name a few, had investigated the relationship between language proficiency and academic performance among different groups of international students in English-speaking institutions by also utilizing standardized test scores. But in this case, they used TOEFL and also IELTS. Right? While there were a number of studies supporting the positive relationship between language proficiency and academic achievement as measured by GPA, there were also studies implying that TOEFL scores might not be a good predictor of for international students' academic success, thus implying that English test scores alone is insufficient to measure a student's academic success. So for this particular study, what is our research method? So we are conducting a non-experimental approach in the study, which is to examine the relationship between English language proficiency and academic performance. And our target respondents would be the undergraduate students, right, enrolled in a 4-year business program in 4 selected Malaysian public universities. So what we did was we conducted a we developed and designed a standardized self-reported questionnaire, and in order for us to be able to collect the data on this. And in addition to basic demographic questions, the instrument also included items on English language proficiency, whereby students were asked to rate their English language proficiency using a 4-point Likert scale, which is poor, average, good, and excellent. They were also required to indicate whether they had academic difficulties in understanding English, specifically in 4 categories, which is reading, writing, listening, and speaking. And we also use a 4-point Likert scale in order for us to be able to measure this. using 1 as always, 2 often, 3 sometimes, and 4 never. So the questionnaire also included items on the respondents' MUET score, right, and their SPM English results, which is used to measure the students' English language proficiency, or ELP. Meanwhile, the respondents' academic performance was measured by their current cumulative average grade average point, which is CGPA. And in addition to that, the respondents were also asked to indicate how they felt about their language English skills affecting their academic achievements. All right, so analyzing the data, we utilized the SPSS, all right? And as I mentioned just now, these are the variables that we use, which is CGPA as our dependent variable, while MUET, SPM English results, self-rated questions about the language proficiency were all the independent variables that we use. Descriptive statistics of the sample was applied to analyze the data, and in addition to that, we also conducted a multiple regression analysis in order for us to determine which independent variable were related to students' academic performance. So based on our analysis, these are the results that we discovered. All right, for first and foremost, let's first have a look at the CGPA. So this is representing the academic performance of the students, the respondents that we have. All right, so the academic performance in this study is using the CGPA, and you can see here the maximum CGPA recorded is 4.0, and the average is 3.59 with a standard deviation of 0.25 and a minimum of 2.35. All right, so the frequency distribution showed that only 5 students achieved a CGPA of 5.0, all right, and 30% with a CGPA of above 3.75, 38% with a CGPA of above 3.25, and 7% with a CGPA of above 3, and only 3 students achieve a CGPA of below 3. So for the MUET results, on the other hand, our respondents basically consists of the following. All right, so the MUET in this study, a majority of the respondents managed to score between band 2 and 5 until 5, whereby close to 21% of the respondents scored a band 2, 48% scored band 3, 28% scored a band 4, and only 3% of our respondents in this study scored a band 5 in their MUET. So for their SPM results in English, SPM paper, okay, basically what we can see here for the purpose of the study, we reclassified the grades into 5 major categories for the purpose of simplifying our analysis. And from the result, 21% achieved A+ or A for their English SPM paper. And okay, 33% scored A- or B+, 28% scored B or C+, and 7% scored C, and 10% scored D in this case, right? So for perceived proficiency, in this particular survey, when asked to rate their English proficiency, only 4% of our respondents believe that their English are excellent, 41% believe that their English is good, 52% of our respondents believe that their overall English proficiency is at average, and 4% rated their English as poor. Right? Okay, so meanwhile, for the questions concerning the difficulties in English areas, which is into 4 categories: writing, reading, listening, and speaking. First, we look into the difficulty in writing. 16% of the respondents, all right, basically mentioned here, responded that they always face difficulty. 23% often have difficulties, 59% indicated sometimes, and 5 students never have difficulties in writing. On the other hand, for difficulties in reading, only 3% rated as always, 11% rated as often, 69% rated sometimes, and 17% rated as never have they have any difficulties in reading in English. Meanwhile, for difficulties in speaking, all right, 6% of our respondents indicated that they always face difficulty in speaking. 20% often have difficulties. 63% indicated sometimes, and 11% never had any problem in listening in English. Right? And related to difficulties in speaking, 16% of the respondents indicated always, 25% indicated often, 54% sometimes face difficulties, and the balance of another 5% indicated that they never face any difficulties in listening in English. All right, so moving forward with our OLS regression analysis to examine the relationship between English proficiency and CGPA, we conducted a linear regression whereby CGPA was our dependent variable, MUET result, SPM English result, self-perceived proficiency, and the difficulties were our independent variables. And the results indicated that overall, the model is found to be significant with an adjusted R-squared of 0.085, which indicated that the model accounted for almost 9% of the variables in CGPA. And this table summarizes the regression results. So based on the regression result analysis that we can see here, we found that both variables representing SPM and MUET were found to have a positive relationship with CGPA. Right? However, only MUET has a significant relationship with CGPA at a very high significant level at 1%, while SPM is only found to be marginally significant. However, the perceived proficiency and the difficulties in writing, reading, listening, and speaking were all found to be insignificant and negatively related to CGPA. So therefore, we can say that our results do imply that English proficiency does have an effect on our students' academic performance in the university setting. So based on these results, we can basically come up with a conclusion, preliminary conclusion, which is being proficient in English is very important for our students in order for them to be able to adapt well to the learning environment in the university setting in our country, Malaysia. And why? Because, as I mentioned just now, most universities or majority of our universities, their main medium of communication in their lectures are in English. And we use English in our presentations, and we are also using English in our assessments. And most of our references, which is our textbooks, especially in business-related courses, are also in English language. So therefore, basically signifies the importance of our students to be able to have that ability to be proficient in English. However, there are a few limitations identified. First, basically this study was unable to distinguish which is the most important skills among the four skills or categories of skills that we identified earlier, which is reading, writing, listening, and speaking. Our study was not able to distinguish which one is the most important skill for our students to have in order for them to perform better. And the one that we use, the use of a perceived difficulty in our study revealed insignificant relationship. So perhaps we may suggest that we use the MUET grading in more detail, which is more suitable for future research in this study area. Right? So I think basically that's all for my presentation for today. Hopefully I can get feedback and comments to make sure that this research is going to be able to expand more in the future. So that's all from me. Thank you very much.